What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overload here. We're going to be talking about Scream 7 in this video here today, going over some other important bits that came out of this Your Favorite Scary Movie book that has dropped today, and going over some bits from the Hollywood Reporter article that came out a few hours ago detailing everything we know about the upcoming 7th Scream film. I'll also share some things I've had shared with me about the film. But diving right into the Hollywood Reporter bits, in an excerpt of the book, the Hollywood Reporter put it in their article saying that Kevin Williamson plans to keep Sidney Prescott's final girl title intact. He says, "I have made it very clear, I think publicly too, that Sidney has been through so much torment and she has been through so much trauma that to give her anything less than a happy ending is mean. It's just sacrilegious." Now, the thing is Scream 7 going to be her happy ending? Because elsewhere, I think I brought this up in my last video I uploaded this morning, there are talks about this being a standalone project. In what way, though? Is it going to be standalone enough for us to just say goodbye to Sidney Prescott once and for all? Is this her happy ending? Or is it just more of the same, meaning it stands alone like the other movies can stand alone and you don't have to watch any of the follow-up sequels? Are we just going to keep getting more and more Sidney? Or is this where we will bid farewell to Sidney Prescott once and for all? Which is what I would love to see, which is what many people would love to see who want Sidney Prescott to have the ending that, again, Kevin Williamson is stressing she is old. So give it to her. I don't see how a character has a happy ending if she keeps being brought back over and over and over and over and over again. So will this be Sidney Prescott's farewell? Time will tell. Now, elsewhere in this article from the Hollywood Reporter, it goes over Neve Campbell's priority. Her priority is focusing on Sidney's family. Think about how challenging it would be to make the choice to even have a child if you were Sidney Prescott. That's a fair assessment. Then, if you have children, the stress and fear that you would live under about your history coming back to you. I don't want to give it away, but how she chooses to parent is a big choice and perhaps different than how others might. We already know how she parents. She's overprotective. There's all these rumored details out there that suggest she's going to start pointing the finger at Tatum's boyfriend, which is in line with what Sidney probably would do in the circumstances that she's facing again. The old wounds are knocking on the front door. There's a boyfriend in your daughter's life. Point the finger at him. And then, of course, also there's some other details that tie into the AI narrative and stuff like that. But we'll see how all that looks on screen and how it's executed. Now, I wanted to talk about this other part of the Your Favorite Scary Movie book. Shout out to UK for sending these pages my way. In which it goes over, I guess, how Guy handled the story for Sidney. And then also addressing Neve's goals going into Scream 7. So he gave Sidney, it says, he gave Sidney a real conflict. He gave her a real life. He gave her a real family. He gave her real obstacles, and then someone gets killed. He really set her up very well, and this is why I like this story. That's Kevin Williamson talking about that. Campbell agreed with this before sharing one big concern. When Sam turns the knife on Richie and goes berserk in Scream 5, it stopped feeling like Scream to her. She told Williamson that she started to feel disconnected because she was still living in another Scream, namely Craven's. Neve wants to go back to the first one and find the suspense and really concentrate on scary and not bloody. She was smart. She goes, "This is the time to do it because we're moving away from New York. We're going back to Sidney's life. This is the time to reset a little bit." And I'm like, yep, let's do it. It says here that Campbell wants to dial back a bit and focus on the storytelling and character building. So it's like in these excerpts, and again, big shout out to UK because I feel like you listen to me and you know exactly what I'm looking for in this movie, and Neve Campbell is nailing it so far in everything I'm hearing from this book. So she wants to dial back things a bit and focus on the storytelling and character building. She says this is a whodunit. But not just a whodunit, it's who are we following? Who are we caring about? I want the audience to feel engaged with the characters enough that they care about what happens to them. I want to make it emotional. This is what Williamson said. The most important thing in a horror film is your emotional connection to the movie, because you can't scare someone if you can't make them care. It's the moment after the scare that matters. Williamson learned that from Craven. So these two, again, they're just firing on all cylinders right there to me. That is literally what I had just spoke about. You need to make us care about these characters. I feel as though since Scream 2, they have struggled to find a good balance between Sidney and the supporting cast. Because ever since Scream 2, the supporting cast has just not been tied directly into Sidney's story. And I don't think that's going to be true for Tatum's friends because those are, again, going to be minors, a bunch of minors. Sidney's going to be hanging around with them. But if you can somehow find a balance between me caring about Tatum and spending time with her friends, and then finding time to spend time with Sidney and her friends and that adult group of friends, and then bringing Gale, all that stuff, and it feels very lived in, it feels very reminiscent of Scream 2, very reminiscent of Scream 1, then you might very well have one of the better Scream films on your hand in terms of storytelling and making us care about the characters, because they have been lacking ever since Scream 2. Scream 5 gets a bit of a, I'll say, a pass to me, because it's not about Sidney. She's not the lead. We get all new leads there. And I ended up coming out of Scream 5 caring about the leads. At least that kind of made up for some of the one-dimensionalness of other aspects that go into that screenplay. But I like what I'm hearing in this book. They know what to do, but it's all about, okay, you understand what to do, you understand the assignment, but now how are you going to execute this assignment? Just because you know what to do doesn't mean that's going to be what ends up translating on screen. You might end up having the best intentions and then produce trash. I do want to remind people about that. I could go into something having the best intention to make something good, doesn't mean that's what you're going to get. You could get the worst movie known to mankind. We don't want that. I again will stress, I don't want this to be the first turd for the Scream franchise. I don't want that at all. But it is possible because of the fact that Kevin Williamson doesn't have the greatest track record when it comes to directing. But I am going to put my faith in him that he is going to cook up something masterful. But recently, I've heard from a couple people that the film is quite good. That doesn't mean that I'm going to have that same sentiment when I see it. Doesn't mean you will have the same sentiment when you see it. And we've also heard the same thing about Scream 5 and Scream 6. And I think it's important for me to remind a lot of you that you guys dog walk the fuck out of those movies. But I am hearing that the film apparently is really good. It has a lot of surprising things in it. And yeah, I've just heard some great positive buzz surrounding Scream 7 recently. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this will be the last Sidney Prescott movie? Do you think it should be the last Sidney Prescott movie? Because if you're going to keep on bringing up how she needs to have this happy ending, okay, well, when are we going to finally have that? The happy ending needs to actually be an ending in which we don't see her come back to deal with this bullcrap anymore. That's an actual ending, not taking hiatuses. That's essentially what's happening. She's just taking hiatuses. Let her ride off into the sunset. I trust that Kevin Williamson has something in mind that closes the book on this character for good. Y'all can try to spin it however you want to. You're never going to be able to convince me that this woman deserves to just be put through the ringer time and time and time again with no end in sight. It's completely counterproductive to what they have been trying to do with the character in Scream 3. Then again in Scream 5, kind of in Scream 4. You're clearly trying to work your way up to a point where she just rides off into the sunset, and that moment is just constantly getting further and further and further and further and further and further and further away. It's ridiculous. If she was written in the style of a character like a Buffy Summers or like a superhero, then we'd be open to seeing endless ideas related to the character of Sidney Prescott and endless stories, endless narratives. But the way she's written is very limited. There is an end in sight, and I'm trying to see, okay, well, where is it? Where is it? I hope that Scream 7 is it. This woman has been through enough. She's one of the best final girls to ever grace the screen, ever grace the horror genre, and letting go of her shouldn't be that controversial. But let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, and this video in the description. I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.